Welcome to this episode of Level with Emily, featuring a conversation with Mustin, who is a producer, composer, and remixer, prolifically so. We go through a ton of music, which you can only hear in the audio podcast version of this show, so please check that out if you want to hear his amazing music. Mustin is one of the founding members of the second longest running video game music remix band in the world, the OneUps. So we talk about the OneUps. We talk about Mustin's newest album, which is called Mario Mixtape. He did it very quickly under the supervision of his son and daughter, and as he calls it, their people. Got approval from some of the younger crowd for that, so it was really fun to talk to him about Mario Mixtape, that new album, which of course is on Bandcamp. Find us on Discord. That link is down in the show notes. Please subscribe to this YouTube channel. Give us a like, maybe a nice comment or two. We'd appreciate that. And if you can support us financially on Patreon, that'd be amazing. Patreon.com/level. All right, here is Mustin.
My name is Mustin, and I'm a record producer. I've been doing music for over 20 years now, and I also co-founded the second longest running video game cover band in the world, the OneUps. And I've been producing mostly video game music covers, but also original music, original hip-hop and rap music for artists. I'm not a rapper myself. And composer for things that need to be composed for. I do a lot of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, you do. You have, so many different projects, with regards to video games too, which I love. It's like, it's not just the OneUps, right? You do the bad. Yeah,
I do all kinds of stuff, and I have different groups, and sometimes I'll be in the shower and come up with an idea to make a fake pharmaceutical commercial for a video game music convention and just do that. I'm just kind of out there just doing whatever wacky ideas I come up with, and then I do love collaborating with people where I have had rappers will send me their entire track finished, but there's no music. They just recorded it to something else, and then I create the music for it. And same thing with singer-songwriters who are trying to create stuff. I've had people just beat on a chair in their legs and sing their chorus, and then I write the entire music, and they're just loving it. When I was running my recording studio and doing this stuff, mostly just that, I had a slogan for my recording studio, was making you sound like you do in your head. And people absolutely love that, and still say it to this day, which is very flattering. So, yeah, I'm out there doing all kinds of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's some really good examples of that on your website where you're like, this woman came and she brought me this, and here's the song that we made, and it's really cool to see that or hear that, I guess. Yeah. Yeah,
that's something I don't know. I know that a lot of my heroes work that way. I've watched. Pharrell and Chad of the Neptunes do that with Justin Timberlake and stuff, and producers sit down with artists and be able to do that. I've never really, I have done that, but I haven't done it in the way that they do it, like the super producers like Timbaland and stuff, like just sit down with an artist and like, we're gonna really do this. I did make one album with a rapper, 40 Corleone, and it's a good album. He's an Arkansas rapper. I ended up we made a whole thing, but there's just that big disconnect, which I think a lot of people who make music will tell you, like, I can do this, but then, as I talked about in a recent panel that I gave, it's really unfair because our heroes didn't have to do this crap. Our heroes had a record label, and their label had the marketing department and the AR, and like all the people there were running around doing the things that they're really good at, and now you're expected to do it yourself. So it's difficult for it's always been hard for people to just get out there anyway, but now it's even harder. At the same time, so much easier. It's so strange. It's very, very bizarre.
Yeah. So when did you start getting into the production side? Do you think, well, yeah, just tell me about how you got into that side of music.
I think in 1999, when I graduated high school, my buddy gave me a music software program for a computer we recently got, and it was called MIDISoft Studio 6. And I used this thing. I had one track where you could add digital audio, but otherwise it was just MIDI, and it was whatever your computer had on it. Mine had a Yamaha XG chip, thankfully, which wasn't the worst. And so I used that, and I learned how to put sounds in there. And I don't know if I didn't know how to use it correctly, or if I was just kind of like hacking it to do things that it wasn't like made to do. But I was putting audio in there in these certain ways and trying to like figure it out. And that was in '99, and then around 2000, I think I bought a copy of Cakewalk Pro Audio 9 on eBay. Nice. And I have been using Cakewalk ever since. And that one, wow. Once I had like multi tracks, and like I'm completely invested now. So yeah, it's been since then that I've been doing that, and I've been an eBay user since 1999. I actually worked a job at a hat company, like making hats. Yeah. Local here in Bentonville, Arkansas. And my first job at this one position, because I moved around in there, was to make a hat for eBay. Really? And so I designed like a hat. I'm like, well, I think it could look like this. It's going to have boxes on it, because they use boxes to ship stuff. They didn't go for it, but I still have the hat because nice. It's a cool hat. Yeah, what a weird thing most people don't do in their life is make a hat. Make
a hat, right? Exactly. Yeah. I had a factory job where I made dog collars, many, in a past life. But yeah, not hats. I'd rather wear a hat personally. Yeah. Some people are into the dog collars though. Not on this podcast. No, I'm kidding. I actually don't know. You do you. Whatever dog collar you want to wear or not wear. So yeah, with regards to that, getting into music production or late 90s, whatever, were you just automatically tinkering with video game music? Because clearly that's been a part of your life. You must have grown up gaming or grown up around it or something, so when did that come into play?
It was the same time. Normally I think of that if I'm asked that question, but when I got that program, a lot of stars were aligning in that. Here is music production software, which I never had. I was pencil and paper kid. I can still do it if I want to. That's my little brag right there that I carry. If I had to, I could take pencil and I can write out music and then have someone play it, and it'll be what it needs to be. But ever since I discovered software, I'm like, well, fudge that. I'm just going to use the software. Yeah, I'm just going to do it in MIDI. So that my what did you say? Previous life was I wanted to be a film composer, and my buddy who gave me that software ended up being a filmmaker. His name is Duncan Skiles. He makes movies and does a lot of editing and all kinds of cool stuff. And he was working on a short film and got me to do composing for it. And I'm like, oh yeah, here we go, big break, Danny Elfman, here I come. I hated it so much.
Wow, really?
I hated scoring to picture. I still do. I tried to do it very recently with the project with the OneUps, and I just like, why? I don't like doing this. I'm never going to do this again. I have to remember it. But so going back to that, I got that software. I started to learn to do the digital stuff, and it was it was called MIDISoft. So I learned about MIDI, which I didn't know about, and then I found MIDIs, and then somehow at the same time finding emulation, because this is May of 2000. Let's see. Somewhere right there in the early 2000s, we're finding, emulation is happening with old video game systems where you can play the games illegally on your computer. And then I found this website that had all of these video game music MIDI files, vgmusic.com. And I was like, wow, people are actually like transcribing this stuff and putting it up here for people to listen to. And then once I put it together, I always rented this game Mega Man 3, but I was never able to beat it. So I'm playing this Mega Man 3 on the emulator on my computer. I'm like, man, this music slaps. This is so good. I like this. And then so I made a medley of Mega Man 3 in my new computer software stuff. And then from the VG Music place, I found a site called Overclock Remix, which started in, I think, around 1999. And then I took my terrible Mega Man 3 arrangement and submitted it to the person who runs it, DJ Pretzel. And DJ Pretzel, whose name's David Lloyd,
wonderful human being.
Yes, he took a shine to me and put up my thing and was like, "Look at this kid," and and I think the last time I looked, which was earlier this week, Overclock Remix has like 4,400 arrangements on there, and mine was like number 68. Nice. So that's how long ago and how long I have been doing this digital music and video, and also at the same time video game music. Also, one of the first things I did when I got that software was when I got the Cakewalk one. As I made a bossa nova version of Lottie Dottie by Snoop Dogg, which is very does not, I guess they say now that they don't age well, but in hindsight, these lyrics were never appropriate. Right. But the dichotomy of taking Snoop Dogg's terrible stuff, which I'm sure, like, he would even say now, like, I've grown up. And then the sultry music, I've always loved bossa nova and stuff, which you can tell by listening to all my music. And putting those two together, I've always been more like, how can we goof this up? I'm kind of lean toward a comedy to make myself laugh when I'm doing my music stuff. And I can be serious sometimes, but I leave the pristine covers of like, this Castlevania tune needs to sound like this orchestra piece. Somebody else is going to do that way better than me, and it's going to be cool. And then people that just do like that do musicianship. Here's my Mega Man piece that I'm playing on the electric guitar, and I'm nailing all of those 30-second notes. That's not for me. Somebody else can do that. So I find a thing where it's like music. I've come to say since starting this last album in December that nobody does it like I do. And that's really what I'm sticking with, because listening to everything and seeing all these new people and hearing all their music, and I keep hearing nobody does it like I do. Now that's not to say like I'm doing it better. I'm just saying that it's different.
Have a sound.
I have a sound, and it makes me really happy, because even though that track from June of 2000, my Mega Man 3 medley is terrible, I love it, and I still like listening to it. These are all my little children babies, and no matter how ugly they are, I love them. And that's something that is different than a lot of people that I talk to when it comes to making music.
So all of that gives me I have like 1,000 questions, none of which are written down, so I'm certainly never going to remember them all. But first of all, with regards to the Mega Man 3 remix, is that on your Bandcamp, or can we only find that at OC Remix?
It's on Overclock Remix.
Okay.
It's called Blue Bomber Forever. It's got all these samples of different. I think I sampled like Incubus, Back to the Future, like all these movies and other different music and movies, and the Propeller Heads, because Spy Break came out from got that big hit from the Matrix film. I love the Propeller Heads, the music, the people that did the Spy Break, the hotel lobby shoot 'em up scene. Okay, fantastic stuff. But anyway, All those, yeah, those are still up there on Overclocked Remix.
Oh, good. Okay. Yeah. I mean, there's so much on Bandcamp. And I checked while you were talking because I wondered, I was like, did he put it on that Origins album? Because I listened to some of that Origins album, which is great.
It's old.
And I love the picture because I assume that's you hammering away on the typewriter. It's very adorable. Okay, so I'll find that on OCR. I will find, and if I can't find it, I'll find someone who can.
I've really tried to, especially lately. There's something about my kids living with me full time that's really made me think about a lot of things, and one of those things is putting all my stuff together for me for many, many, many reasons. And so I do have that Origins album out. That is a picture of me hammering away on the typewriter angrily. I just thought about it being like a computer keyboard. That's how I make music. But all of those tracks on Origins are from old, out-of-print records. And so I put them on there, and then I had one extra track that was supposed to be a live track that we were going to do with Grant Kirkhope at MagFest, but it didn't work out. So I just jazzed up my demo and put that version of Mad Monster Mansion from Banjo-Kazooie on there as a bonus track. I'm like, hey, here's something that has never been released. So, and then I did the freebies for streaming, which is just simply that. I hate having to take a file and upload it onto YouTube Music and then tag it, and then I actually have to tag it before I upload it so it goes up there right, and so I can put it in the right. That's so obnoxious, and I get it. So I just took all of these tracks that are around that you can get for free that were licensable, that because that Mega Man 3 one, it's got all those samples and stuff, and I don't even know if I have the source files for that. So, I mean, it's just a MIDI file. But just all those freebies are up there, and it's just so that people who, and 78% of people are using Spotify, they can just click, and then they put the click button, and then hopefully I'll end up in their earbuds, now and again, which is, fantastic. And that just works out better. So that's what those albums are. And then I think we're going to get to the Bad Dude one, which is, essentially the same thing, just kind of compressing all of this stuff together.
Yeah, exactly. And that's, I think, what's cool about the Bad Dude album is that and please correct me if I get this wrong, but it's like all of the tracks that you made for Bad Dude's albums. And now it's just like all in one place. And so you get like all the Mustin tracks, and that is fun. So tell me about that album. Yeah,
that's precisely it. There were some that I really loved that I did a couple with Dishu is how Dishu is pronounced, DHSU. And Dishu and I have been friends for a long time, and Dishu plays piano and it does arranging. So Dishu arranged stuff, and I put it through all my magic and goo, and then Dishu would play the piano on their big keyboard MIDI, and then I would take it and make it on with my fancy little keyboard sound that sounds realistic. And and so we would put that together, and I said, hey, can I put these two on here because these are some of my favorite Bad Dude tracks, and I'm making this album, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, of course. So then I just got them to do that. And then there's a couple other people that have those featurings, I guess. But otherwise, like you said, it's just previous Bad Dude stuff pushed together, all from me, which is a more benefit for me, like so that people come to the Mustin show, and then also for people that like to have their music together and not have to mess with all the stuff. That's just, I don't know why I didn't think of this stuff before, but it's hard to navigate when you're dealing with something that's never happened before. Streaming happened right there when I discovered video game music CDs. Because when I was 13, I think I was in 7th grade, and I was taking that paper and that pencil, and I was writing out the Battle of Magus from Chrono Trigger, for
nice.
2 B-flat clarinets and 1 bass clarinet in a trio to play.
Yes.
And I wrote it all on paper, and then there's no what do they call that? There was no Xerox machine, so there was no. So I had to do everything individually because I was a kid and I didn't know what else to do. And then I sat it in front of 3 friends, and they played it for me, and I go, wonderful. Because there was no phones, there's no pocket recorders, there's nothing. That's it. I do have the music in my memory chest in the other room.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Which is cool. And one day I'm sure I'll bust it out and make some people play it for me. And this time I'll record it. But that goes back to that. And then here we are. I didn't know. I knew there were original soundtracks, and I got the stuff that came from Nintendo Power, those ones that they had available for sale. But it was in the dormitory, which I didn't go to college, but all my friends were there at the local college here at the University of Arkansas in Fayetteville. And I was up there because they had the crazy high-speed internet at the college. And this is 1999, fall 99. And there was one nerdy kid in this one room, and we went in there, and this kid had not only the Napster loaded up with all of these albums, but also had on the desk there the Chrono Trigger Brink of Time CD. We had no idea that there were arranged albums. Me and I think it was my girlfriend at the time. We were all anime teared up, this isn't happening. This is incredible. This changes everything. Yeah. So learning about this stuff as you go, I mean, trying to figure out how to navigate streaming. I mean, I can see the companies are trying to figure it out too, because Contra was up on Konami put Contra, the original soundtrack, up on iTunes in 2007, and then they took it down. And it's just and Nintendo put a bunch of stuff up, and then they took it down. But it's just, I don't know. It's so frustrating. Just we got to get it all out there. That's what I'm trying to do. Everybody else should do it too.
Art for the people. Art is for the people.
Yes.
Share it with the people. I agree. On the Bad Dude album, I take walks and I take screenshots while I'm listening to music. So then I remember, what did I like about that track? What did I like about that track? And so it's fun to look through and be what did I take pictures of, And I took pictures of almost every single Earthbound track you did.
Oh, yeah?
I loved your Earthbound remixes. So do you want to talk a little bit about that and maybe, your connection with the music, if there is one, and just talk to me about that.
Yeah, that project was in conjunction with Fangamer. Fangamer is a company that started off making gently illegal video game inspired things, and now they actually do official merchandise for Konami and Capcom. I got to actually score the commercial for their Sunset Riders Konami product launch. So this is officially sanctioned. I could say that I vis-a-vis worked for Konami on this, and I got to take the original music and arrange it, and they made this whole commercial. It looked just like the game except real. It was really ridiculous and fun. But they're a great company, and they love Earthbound. They came from that community, starmen.net. And so they put together this huge project called You Are Now Earthbound, and it has it had a huge book, and it had this album with it that was done by my group, the Bad Dudes. I had a zine in there, and it was supposed to have a documentary at the time, but they are finishing up the documentary now, because I know that because 2 days ago I recorded some vocals for the composer who's working on that.
Oh, cool!
It's this big choir, and it was something I was singing something about Mother 3, which is great. So nice. Really, really interesting people. Really, really interesting approach to to fandom as a whole, which is kind of hard to explain. But anyway. The album, their Kickstarter was huge. One of the stretch goals was 2 discs, and then there were other stretch goals that 4 people got to pick tracks to do. which is normally a like a Russian roulette kind of game, because you never know who's going to pick what and how hard it's going to be, and is it going to be a good fit. I did 3 of them. 2 were extremely hard, and the one, thankfully, person wanted, gosh, I can't remember the name of the tune, but I know that he asked for it to be post-rock style, which I knew that our person, JJT, which is John Titterington, who's a great actor, musician. One time I caught him playing trumpet on Conan. It's just, I have such interesting friends. It's great. I love it. But he did the post-rock thing and nailed it. And I got some, like, this person wanted, one of the tunes is in a cave of the past. And it is, and then this is like, I'm pretty sure that they've copped to this, Suzuki and Tanaka working together on the original score, cutting up the beginning of that Beatles song. What's it called? I can't remember, but it starts with the French bum, ba-dum, bum, bum, bum. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. Mm-hmm. But if you go bum, ba-dum, bum, bum, but if you cut that up, bum, ba-dum, they cut it off of the Beatles like record, this little part, and they slowed it down. It goes bum, ba-dum, like they used it to make the music, which is nuts, and put me in a spot like, one, like, I don't want to yuck anybody's yum, but like, why do you want to hear this one? Why do you want to hear this one arranged when those are the notes? It's just the first 3 notes of the, what, I don't know. Anyway, I found this wild way to do it, and I do like these challenges because they do, when you let it wash over you and work through it, will make you better. I learned so much making that track. It was so... If you liked that one, it was called There's No Turning Back Now. That one is like this weird atmospheric thing. It's a line taken from the game when the doctor is saying, like, I'm going to turn you into robots. And it's like, there's no going back now. Like, I'm taking your consciousness now out. Put in robots, you're going to go into space. Video games are so weird. So, but like I tried to make this huge soundscape and just these weird sounds that you wouldn't expect. And like in the beginning, when it really comes in, if you listen to it, there's this sound. I took these cows and slowed them down, and it just sounds otherworldly. It's just go back and listen to it, and you'll be like, dadgummit, those are cows, and you'll never be able to not hear it.
I can't wait.
Yeah, and
that's amazing.
But yeah, and I just found all these things, and it really taught me about. What is that? Being reserved. Like I showed at the end of the tune, it goes into this awesome crunchy beat and then the bass comes in from the beginning, which it wasn't even a bass. It was just this terrifying synthesizing destruction sound. But then it comes in later with this beat, and I showed it to all like the other bad dudes, and they're like, "Oh yeah, you should repeat that." And I'm like, "No. I'm not going to repeat that.
Just leave them wanting more.
It's got to be just like that. Like these little, I don't know, something else. And I know that like that tune ended with the parts like cutting out and then overlapping the French tune and then what was there. And then like I pulled up 2 instruments for like the very last note that had not been in the entire the entire tune. I had the tubular bells and I think like a timpani. Just so weird. So I just imagine like someone standing there with the hammer for the tubular belt, right? Just standing in like there for 3.5 minutes, and like, okay, I got to get this right. Boom! Oh man, nailed it.
Then they hit the wrong one. Yeah,
that would be me.
Just a half step off.
That would be me. It's like, oh, where's Control Z? Oh,
yeah. I love the Metroid Craig arrangement. You did it so good because, you know, that is just notoriously a simple texture, right? The original. And I love how you maintain that, but did it your own way. So talk to me about that one.
Yeah. I did a panel recently about music, and I didn't really know what to talk about. So I was like, well, here's some stuff. I like the whole thing of like, nobody does it like I do. If you're looking to make interesting arrangements, I'm your guy. And I will give you whatever advice I can. If you want to do covers and stuff, or straight jazz versions or whatever, there's plenty of people out there. But for me, one of the things I'll try is changing the time signature. So Crate is in 6/8, boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, I almost always start with a Fender Rhodes sound, electric piano sound, when I'm doing my stuff. A lot of people will sit there and start with their piano. Guitar players will start with their guitar. I don't own a Fender Rhodes, and I don't know why that sound. I don't know. I grew up in the 80s. Hall & Oates is one of my favorite things. Maybe that has something to do with it. I don't know. But I started with that, so I'm playing with that piano, and then boom, 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 boom. How do I say boom, 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 boom. Boom, boom, boom. I was like, oh, wow, look at this. Cool. It's like 4/4. And then I figured out it was like drum and bass. Boom, 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 boom. And I was like, okay, cool. So I figured out how to do that, and then take the ba do da do da do da by just going boom, 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 boom. They just like it just transferred it all over. And in doing that, when I had that going, it's pretty easy for people, composers, arrangers, to hear something and basically get on the sled as it is going faster and faster down the mountain. It's easier to be like, oh yeah, let's just do, oh, you should do, that sounds like you should add it, and then just boom, 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 and then before I knew it, I had a crazy drum and bass version of Crate and 4/4, and that's why I named it KR 4444 1D.
1D, yeah.
Oh man, I can't believe they let me drive.
Let's talk just for a half a minute about the OneUps before we talk about the newest album that's on your Bandcamp as of this date. But yeah, so that's been more than 2 decades, which is a long, long, long time. And you mentioned that you're the second cover band in the world.
Yeah.
So talk about how that started, because you live in Arkansas, and I can't imagine that was an easy thing to start in Arkansas 20 years ago,
Yeah. Yeah. You would think that. And I'm telling you right now, if I walked out this front door and tried to go do it, yeah, I would have a hard time. But it was just the fates aligned. It was like I said, I liked video game music. My friends liked video game music. William Carlos Reyes, who's co-founder with me, and then Nathan McLeod, saxophone player. He's out in Nashville now. I think he's doing like studio work and stuff. He's a great player. They came to me because they knew that I was doing video game stuff, and they were doing duos, going to the farmer's market and playing. But one of the things that they did was that William had arranged Koopa Beach from Super Mario Kart. So it was just chords and melody. And they said, like, hey, you're doing this stuff. And I was like, yeah, I like what that is. And like, we should do a band. I'm like, okay. So then I called a couple of people that I knew that would have been down. And then we needed a drummer. And William and Nathan knew a guy that played drums. And he was the only one who was just out of pocket. Because we were like, we were all 20. But he was 50. And so he was our like, what the heck is that? What the heck is this guy? He's just like having a great time. Doesn't know what's going on, but he's getting, flown around and driven around to go do these gigs and stuff. So, it just happened. It was really, really, really lucky. And the fact that the first real thing was that Koopa Beach, which is a samba, like that was different than what was going on at the time. The first tune that we actually played out loud in Chris the drummer's drum room. He had this gargantuan, it was like a den, but it was just like there was 9 drum sets in there and a baby grand. It was nuts. But we managed to
real?
fit. Yeah, it was like we managed to fit 7 people in there and do first practice. And the first thing we did was play Mario terribly. We had a cute arrangement of Mario World, and then we did, it was just like a little. It was pretty straightforward. It wasn't anything rocking the boat. And then we did Monkeys from Mario Paint. I always wanted to hear that played with live instruments.
Oh,
and so we have this Monkeys tune, which is just slow. I don't know what you'd call it. It's some Latin kind of thing. Fantastic. And we did a mashup of Mute City and Guile's theme that was rocking. So we picked down the classical guitar and picked up the electric guitar. And what we did, we kind of, we did a lot of different stuff. But the bands at the time, it was number one, which is still around, the Mini Bosses. The Mini Bosses were born out of a band called the Genova Project, which I believe started as early as 1997. And the Mini Bosses have been around so long that they are performing now, and their children are getting in and performing their parts. It is incredible to see. It is so fantastic.
Amazing.
So the Mini Bosses are still around, and it's great because the first gig that the OneUps ever played was at the very first MagFest, which is the Mid-Atlantic Gang Festival. And that was in September 28 of 2002. And it was a band called Everyone, just some band, the OneUps, which was then the One Up Mushrooms, and then the Mini Bosses. And we were kind of like, I remember kind of being a snotty little 20-year-old and being like, man, these guys, look at these guys, they're so old. Because they were like, I don't know, 26 or something.
Yeah. Oh, wouldn't you kill?
So, oh boy. So they're still going, and I have absolutely no more ribbing to do because here I am. Much older than 26, and we're all doing the same thing and having a great time and loving it. So, the OneUps have been around, and we were doing something different because you had the Mini Bosses. You had another band like them called the Neskimos in Florida. They were doing rock. Okay. There was a band called Game Over in Sweden that was doing metal with. That was doing metal in with vocals sometimes, which was cool. That was different. And then there was Select Start, also in Florida, who was like a chamber group: violin, viola, flute, piano, guitar, and there really wasn't much else. But we showed up on the scene. There's only like 5 bands or something, but everybody else is gone except for the Mini Bosses. So we're the second longest running. And now there are, probably 17 trillion video game
exactly.
bands. Exactly 17
There's
trillion.
that many just guitar duos probably. And then, on top of that. Yeah. So the newest one on your Bandcamp, Mario Mixtape, it's such a delight. I don't want to ruin it. Talk about it. It's such a sweet, sweet thing.
On December 26th, my I was supposed to get a gift for my daughter for Christmas, but the family got the gift for her, so I had to get her something else. But I don't know. So I remembered that she loves the Game Over music from Super Mario World. Bum, 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 bum. That's it. She just loves it. But she liked listening to the different versions on YouTube. She likes it. So I was like, okay. So on December 26th of 2022, I sat down and my son was in the living room. And I said, hey, I'm going to make music. He knows the drill. I think he got his headphones in. He was watching TikTok. About 45 minutes later, I turn the speakers on and I say, hey, what do you think of this? And I play back my arrangement that I had just made of Mario World Game Over, and he got really, really mad. He got so mad, and he's like, just steaming, like, you just made that just now? And I said, yeah. And he's like, well, you didn't start that before? And I was like, no, I just sat down and I just made it. He's like, well, you can make that. Why aren't you making your own music all the time? Why are you always doing all this other crap? And he's like going on this, and he's like pulling up like old tracks of mine. He's like, listen to this. You shouldn't be doing stuff like this. And like basically rubbing my nose. I'm like, buddy, I made that like 17 years ago. It's like, That's like as old as you are. And he's like, I don't care. And he's like freaking out. But there was a part of me that saw the spark in the fire, and not so much, because he was mad. It was weird. It was really weird. But I saw the spark, and so I like took a breath and I put my shoulders back, and I was like, well, what are you thinking? And so in just a few hours' time, he had decided that I should make a Mario album. He said it should be Super Mario 64. I said, no, I don't want to do one game. Because 88-bit had just put an album out of Mario 64. And he's like, okay, we'll do the Mario series. And he's like, you have it done by the end of February. And I laughed and I laughed and I laughed. I said, no one's going to have it done by the end of February. It's December 26th. And he's like, and I said, but this year, do you know what's happening this year? And he's like, what? And I said, the Super Mario Brothers movie is going to come out in April. So what if we aim to have it out the Tuesday before the movie comes out? And he's like, okay. So I handed him this PDF called Licensable Nintendo Music.pdf, and I gave him that, and I said, figure it out. So he went through and pulled 14 Super Mario Brothers series tunes, and then he made a document in Google Docs that had everything listed and what style he wanted it to sound like key ideas in there, and then started getting ideas for marketing together. And he just and then in the artwork, he started like on the artwork, what he wanted to see on the artwork. It was just bonkers. So I sat down and I started churning out the music. And then all along the way, I would get feedback from millennials, and I would get feedback from Gen Z, him, and Gen Alpha, my daughter, and their people. And I always agreed with the people, like the cover of the Mario mixtape is this very like dark, morose thing. And it was lighter. It was lighter and kind of like it looked more sterile and I guess more natural before. And me and all my millennial friends, including the designer, were all like, yes, that looks much better. That looks much better. But all the Gen Z and Gen Alpha were like, no, dude, that's cool. That's cool. You got to go with that. And I was like, that's it. That's it. We're doing that. Every decision was driven, unless it was like purely a business, like something that I knew from experience, like, oh, we can't do that. But every decision that was creative was driven by Gen Z and Gen Alpha, and I let them have the I guess the power, as it were, to push what this should be. And I couldn't be more happy with it. This kid pushed me. I hate reggaeton. I've always hated reggaeton. But one day I just spent 6 hours doing cleaning and all this stuff, listening to, what's his name? Was it Bad Bunny or something? And Enrique Iglesias, and just like people, I'm just listening to this reggaeton and hearing it. And then I was taking the new Super Mario Brothers music and making it the reggaeton, and realizing, okay, wait a minute, this is a lot harder than I thought it would be, because it all has the same drum, boom, boom, and every single one has that beat, but there's a lot of variation in it, and that is what makes it interesting. And I was like, okay. So I listened to it now. I really like what I did. I like how I also incorporated the accordion, because I grew up listening to Tejano music. My father and his friends were always playing it, and I loved doing the accordion part. That was really, for me, I had a great time. But I can hear, like, if I had to do this again, I know that I could make it a lot better. But I love what I did, absolutely, 100%. And like jazz trap. I don't know what the heck jazz trap was, but he like told me the idea, and then I found a band that does it, and I was listening to it, and I was like, wow. And I didn't know electro swing was a thing. I missed it. I missed the boat. It was like 10 years ago. and I didn't even know, but that was like a really, really big hit with the older crowd on the electro swing. And then people still think that that Rick Astley is funny. So my Piranha Plant track that has Never Gonna Give You Up, it crushed.
Good. So good. Dude, though, come on, the Dr. Mario Doogie Howser thing, lost it. I was laughing so hard. And
thank you so much. That was the one thing for me. And if you'll notice, the only track on the album that doesn't have the original name, the original like underground BGM, you know, ground overgrown, like that one is called Dire Dire Docks, but without the K, because Dire Dire Docks is on the album, which I am going around claiming now until someone steps up, which I really hope happens so we can have an R&B fight. But I made the absolute sexiest video game music arrangement ever, and it's my Super Mario 64 Dire Dire Docks arrangement. But Dire Dire Docks is on there, but I owe it to Brent Floss, because Brent Black, he is the one I showed him, because I was like, I don't know who else is going to get this, man, but I was just messing around with this on the keyboard, and it's making me laugh a lot. And he's like, oh, wow, that's too good. And he's like, man, Dr. Mario, Dr. Doogie Howser, Dire Dire Docks, love it. And I was like, oh my God. I laughed for like 7 minutes. Dunzo.
So funny. I mean, that show, I loved that show when I was younger. I was like such a, oh my God. And I literally maybe 4 months ago saw it, that it was on, I think, Hulu maybe. And I was like, what's the Doogie Howser pilot like? You know, let's see what this is like. And sure as shit, you know, it starts with him typing away at his like DOS-based whatever, Apple IIG or whatever it is. Just today I'm going to save 72 children or whatever. I mean, it's just crazy. It's so funny. I don't think I made it through the whole thing because it is kind of unwatchable as an adult in the 2020s, but it amazing. Yeah. I really got curious over the last couple of years about all the shows I grew up watching. So I like went through this huge Knight Rider phase. I'm still on the Golden Girls. I'm still watching the Golden Girls. So
Knight Rider.
Knight Rider.
The absolute most beautiful piece of music ever composed, hands down, is Clair de Lune.
Well, yeah.
Like, it is just, you can't beat that. Except for the Knight Rider theme. The Knight Rider theme is, you cannot not hear that and not feel like the most awesome, especially if you're driving and it's close to night at dusk or whatever, like you just feel so cool. If you're cleaning, you're like, I'm going to clean this so cool. I'm telling you, it's just the best. I love it.
It's really, really good. The whole sound, all the music in that show is fantastic. I mean, that's when they were doing it live, right? I mean, it sounds so good. I love the music in that show. I love the music in the Golden Girls too, but that's a very different vibe than Knight Rider with the tight Wranglers and the belt buckles and the button-down shirts that are open just a couple buttons too much. And
like this.
I love it. I love it
right there. Yeah.
I wouldn't say that's too much. I'd say that's appropriately smutty. I got a big kick out of that Doogie Howser thing though. That was great. And that whole album, it's just so sweet and good too. Like, it's really good. It's like fun. I love the opening track right away, Ground BGM, where it's like I just love the homage sense that you get too. It's like, this is not a straight note for note cover. This is my version of it. That's one of the things I really appreciate about a lot of these covers.
Yeah, thank you. I have a lot of fun, but I'm not reckless or flippant. The passion is there, and I think that's something that people can connect with, because even if you didn't play New Super Mario Brothers, like the accordion is having a great time, and every time I heard, I would laugh. The stuff that I was doing in the accordion, especially when it comes to the very end where it goes, like it's putting in the original Mario theme. It did the OneUps sound, and it ends on the Mario down. Like it's just like I'm doing all of these things in the airship one. That one I absolutely enjoyed. That's my favorite one on there. The Attack of the Airships is originally from Super Mario Brothers 3, but I couldn't license Super Mario Brothers 3 because that was just the name, but it's the same tune. So I did the airships. I did that and it's trap. He wanted trap. That's what kids are listening to, is trap. So I got this big old fat bass and the 808s and all that. And I had this concert snare drum in the background, just the guy back there standing next to the guy with the tubular bells. And like, it was sounding okay. And I was like, there's something not right. And then I was driving around one day and I go, oh, it needs to be a high school drum corps. That's what the drums need to be. And that's what I did. And I found, it's the only thing I bought, the only money I spent on the album, other than you know, the people that have to do the things. But as far as like making something, it's that I bought this high school drum corps virtual sound library. And within, I think, 80 minutes, I had filled in the whole thing with drums. I was just like, this is so fantastic. And it's all loose and dirty, and it sounds, you know, like kids are playing it. It's like, yes.
Love that.
And I just had people just connect with that so much. And then I pulled a Faith No More. I don't know if you know No Faith No More, but
yeah,
I love the song Epic. And it's rocking, and it's just like, yeah, what is it? And it's like going, and then it just fades out, and it just fades out to just a piano playing a version of the chords, and it's just really, really pretty, and it's way more interesting than it needs to be. So I just totally
the fish is
lifted.
flopping around.
That's right.
Fish? Yeah,
and at the piano that's on the beat. Yeah, so like I just I did that same thing, but then in the piano when it's doing that pretty stuff, I'm just making boo doo 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 doo. Like I put in the flute from that well, not from, but that's in Mario 3. The original flute is from the original Legend of Zelda, but some people think it's from Mario 3, which I think is funny. And then I put it in my other Mario 3 track too. The best way to enjoy this album, I think, is the bit.ly/Mario Mixtape YT. It takes you right to the YouTube album. It's the whole album, except for the bonus track, which you can only get on the CD or Bandcamp. But that is the best way because it has this great visual. It has the game is in the background. It helps you remember like what's going on, and then there are these things in there. Like if you start listening to Dire Docs, there's this cool little Mario head that spins in there too. It tells you like how long the track has been going.
Nice.
And it gets to Dr. Mario, and you see the pills coming in the background, and so you're working, and you know because you got it on your second screen, and then you hear that. Boop, boop, boop. And Emily, you look up and you look over to the screen, and instead of Dr. Mario, it's switched to the pilot intro for Doogie Howser. So I put all these little things that were happening in my mind when I was making these things. I was able to put them in visually to help inform like why I did what I did. Because at the end of the Super Mario Brothers 3 track, which is objectively one of the most insane things that I've done, I took like this really, really happy boop, 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 and I turned it into this dark, slow, minor theme. And at the end, I have this huge, massive chord that just plays for like 17 seconds or so. It's so obnoxious. But if you watch the video, the whole video is like grimy and chill in the background. It looks like, you know, the cover. It's just like dark colors and muted. But at that one part where that bump, 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 and then that huge chord comes, it goes, blah, and then there's this huge HD video of going through a wormhole in space, and like it just really like informs what was happening in my mind, and then you hear that really, really terrible MIDI sound. I found the cheapest, baddest sound I could use to go boo 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 boo, and then it ends. I don't know. I hear things so different.
Yeah.
I'm a weird guy.
Amazing. Yeah, no, I love that. I can't wait to watch it. I will be definitely watching that and checking that out. What'd you start on musically? Did you start on accordion?
No, I started on I went to a middle school in rural Arkansas. I grew up for my first 9 years in Chicago, but then I ended up in rural Arkansas, which was a shock.
It's a change, yeah.
Yeah, and I earnestly, without any sense of irony, at that age, middle school, I was like 12. It's like, maybe if I play the saxophone, I can get chicks. So I ended up playing tenor saxophone. That was my first instrument. I took it home the first day and learned the whole book.
Oh, damn.
I took to it right away. And then in high school, I was a real snot. And one teacher especially who just... I called her Miss Grundle. I can't remember what her name, Miss Griffin. I don't know, but she just is like kind of a space cadet and just old lady. And one day she was just talking about different chocolates she tasted over the weekend, and I got real mad and made a scene of it and took my backpack and left. And I went down to the band hall because I'm so sophisticated and cool. Yeah. And I just took the alcohol spray and I'm going around stealing people's instruments, learning how to play them. I've got my book, the study of orchestration, and I'm just like, oh, so interesting.
Yeah.
You know, just like learning how to do all that stuff. I had great music teachers that pushed me. The principal pushed me hard to stay in school and do music and help me get some resources. And instead of having to do some certain classes, I was able to enter like music composing contests. I remember that was one thing that I had to do for a semester, which was pretty cool.
Okay, yeah.
But I never really took to anything in particular. I was pretty decent with that alto saxophone, but I did teach Nathan McLeod how to play, and now he is a professional. And I'm over. I can't. My embouchure is gone, and I do have a sax, but I don't have a good environment in which to perform or play it, and I'm just not concerned about that stuff so much anymore. I have a nice bass. I got this bass. I took 2 other bass guitars that I had given to me by wonderful people, and I went to the local shop, and I this is no BS, took my phone, and I said, I need a bass that sounds like this. And I pulled up Amazing Post Pounding from Yoshi's Woolly World, because the bass player on that literally slaps. He's like whoever is playing the bass on this, like, it was so good. Well, no, it was a he, because I talked some smack about that soundtrack, because there's one tune in there that is so terribly sad in that game. It's just something about the Yoshi games. They know how to hit that the first one, Yoshi's Island. That intro music, I can't. It's too saccharine or melancholy. Like, there's something about it. But anyway, that person told me that they play a Schecter bass as well, because I took that in and played it for the guy. The guy was like, hold on. And he handed me this bass, this beautiful Schecter bass, and that's what I went home with.
Okay.
And, and it was great to find out that the composer, he was like, yeah, Schecter, that's what's up.
Oh, funny.
It's a great exchange on Twitter. I love Twitter. It's such a good dumpster fire, but man, some of it smells great.
Yeah, exactly.
It smells bad.
Right. Depends on what corner you're smelling.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's one of the things I noticed too about your music, is that you find the right sound. Like, you find the right tone of the bass, or the right tone of the keyboard, or the right to make us think about what we're supposed to think about. Right. You're really good at that, which makes it really fun. Yeah. That's
good. Thank you. That's a great compliment. That's fun. I didn't really think about that, but that is what I'm trying to do. I'm like, no, this is the Doogie Howser's theme song sound. Listen to this.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah, I love it. Mustin, what else do you want to say before we call it a night and get some calories on my end anyway?
This album is really special. I never thought I'd be working with my kid or kids on music.
So
I had
awesome.
Told my then wife that I didn't want them to do music because I wanted them to actually have some money. And she insisted on getting them lessons. So she plays piano, which she quit, but now she's playing guitar, and I taught her some stuff. And I'm telling you, she's something else. She's over here playing Billie Eilish and doing bossa novas, and it's just amazing. Fantastic. Yeah. And then my son plays classical guitar, but he's gotten more into like video and stuff. But he knows enough about what's going on with music, having watched me do it for a billion years. But getting a chance to work with him, and we got her involved too, because she made these memes, like single picture memes, to help promo the album that people were enjoying. And
cool.
Yeah, it's cool to get everybody involved. And like I said, she gave a lot of feedback. Her friends gave feedback, and when they came over, and it's just something really interesting. And from that point, I did make him my manager. He is like in charge of everything. He did learn how to. I showed him how to use Google Slides. He made a deck on like what this year looks like, the projects that I'm allowed to do. We hit our goal on the timeline. We got it out on April 4. That was the goal. I don't know how I did that, because my first album, The World is Square, it took me over 17 years to do. And this one took me 88 days. And it's just nuts.
Amazing.
So we're working on new stuff. I want to do a hip hop and rap album, but I'm a little worried about the financing, because I don't know if I can really pull it off, because it is from what I can tell, I'll just say subjectively, the least ingested kind of music in this scene, and I don't have much of a world outside of this scene. So as much as I love rap, hip hop, and R&B, I don't see or hear a lot of that, which is why I'm making such a bold declaration that I made the sexiest video game track arrangement of my Dire Dire Docs. Babies will be made to this. But I would love to see if I could do it, and I've already have talked to Mega Ran, who is a big rapper in the scene. We've done a lot of work together, because I really want to make like the quintessential. This is a rap album, but it all has samples, but it's not about these samples. So like I grew up listening to Biggie. He grew up listening to the Isley Brothers. So that's how you get, you know, the Biggie, like, and then like a Snoop Dogg.
Yeah.
Atomic Dog. He grew up with, Parliament Funkadelic on the hi-fi, and so they they grew up listening to Zapp, and that's how that music ended up as being sampled in their music. And they were able to bring in people like Roger Troutman, who was the lead of Zapp, came in and do stuff with California Love, Tupac, and Dr. Dre, and all kinds of stuff. Amazing. So, but you didn't know that when you're listening to When You Call Me Big Papa, that's the Isley Brothers, Between the Sheets. I don't think I even knew that in my 20s.
Right. Yeah.
And he's not singing about their thing.
Right.
So I have The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past Sanctuary Dungeon hip hop arrangement music bed that is like, it's this great rap music track that sounds like today, and it's really cool. And I have a cappella from another rapper from another song who's rapping about mostly guns, which is, I mean, it is what it is. And this is like what people find entertaining. And I mean, because I find it entertaining, but I would like to find a way to do it organically so that it could be more about the people that I know or like know it adjacent, friends of friends and stuff, and then have it be about their stories. I mean, it's not like it can't be fun. I mean, I love a good party dance thing. Yeah. But I would just love to make something that's not what kids call nerdcore. Not that I don't like nerdcore. I've made a lot of nerdcore. Yeah. But I'm trying to tap into that aspect of where those artists from the early 90s were listening to the music of the 70s.
Sure.
Here I am. I listen to the 90s, and I want to put it into the music now.
Yeah.
So, but we're going to see where we get with that. And then I also have some stuff. I'm entering a contest this month for like a chill track.
Oh, cool.
I always work with Jason Napolitano from Scarlet Moon.
Yeah, fantastic.
He started doing a Halloween album every year. Last year, that's kind of a weird sentence. But he's been doing a Christmas album, EP, every year for the past like 7 years. Yeah. And I've been on 6 of them.
Nice.
6 or 7 or 8, somewhere in there. I just didn't do the first one, but I've been on every one. So I do that too. And I have all kinds of stuff. I got all these ideas, and who knows where I'm going to get. But I do want to try to make one original funk album in here.
Awesome.
I've been listening to this guy, XL Middleton. He's fantastic. And I wrote down lines, my favorite lines, like favorite lines from movies. That are just like one sentence that don't really mean a whole lot. I guess the most like on the nose is "Take your toy back to the carpet." That's from Kindergarten Cop. So I'm just gonna put on Kindergarten Cop in the background, and then I'm going to write like a 2-minute funk jam, and then it's gonna be called "Take your toy back to the carpet," and then I'll move on to the next one. Thank you, Julie, and that's from Scott Pilgrim. And the same thing. And I'd like to find a way where I can really get some video and stuff, because that's what everybody's doing, and I've had a lot of fun doing that recently. This album I think did great because my kids helped me do it. My son really led the way. I listened to the youth. I took my ego out of it and just did, I put my passion into the music and then let them drive those decisions. When I hit VGM Con in April of this year, 2023, earlier, I wasn't even inside the building for like 10 minutes before someone came up and was like, "Yo, the mixtape is fire, dog." And I have never gotten so much positive feedback on anything I've ever done, including with the OneUps. I'm out there trying to really get my launch pad. I almost have as much followers as the OneUps on Twitter now, and nice. I've got a TikTok that's going. I just got like 40,000 views on a video on TikTok, and
nice.
Like I'm really trying to get that like going so that I can keep putting out, because it's a lot easier to make music with one person, right?
Yeah.
And it is with the band. And there's no it's not like we quit or anything. We did put out that 20-year anniversary vinyl, which is fantastic, and I need everybody to go buy it. Look at this.
Oh yeah,
so
love
shiny.
That. It's so awesome.
So shiny. So yeah, I'm trying to
amazing.
hawk this vinyl, and I don't know what we're doing next. We have a lot of things that we have started but haven't finished, so it's potential for more fun. But right now, I'm gonna get all these CDs, the Mario mixtape CDs, mailed out, and I am gonna make a chill track where I'm trying to make a nice little music video for it. It'd be fun to see how that goes, because I'm really trying to invest in music video stuff as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. I can't wait to see it. And I'm definitely going to check out the video of the Mario mixtape. That's fantastic.
Yeah, I love it. I used to do a lot of video when I was a kid. I had a TV show with my friends in high school.
Amazing.
On the public access channel.
Amazing. So what did you guys talk about?
What did we talk about?
Yeah, what'd you do in it?
It was like a sketch show. It was every other Saturday night, 10 o'clock. And we had, it's at 10 o'clock, it was live call-in, which was a nightmare because it was public access and there was no, And then in the middle, we would play the pre-recorded bits, which is what we did throughout the week or or two, going around, just like the bait and switch stuff. You got the guy tied up to the telephone pole, and then you've got all these cars driving by, and you've got a big sign that says "Wave to the freak." But in real life, the sign says "Honk for those hogs," which is the Arkansas Hogs, Arkansas Razorbacks. Yeah. So it's like just the whole that's simple stuff, and taking toy soldiers and blowing them up, and cow manure, and I don't know. It got really popular, but I learned a lot about editing, and it was all on tapes, putting it into the tapes and the heads and the jog wheels and all this stuff.
Yep.
And I don't know, this is one of the same thing of putting all those albums together.
Yeah.
Why haven't I been doing all this video stuff the whole time? I don't know, like if I just had that mindset of the old people that we're supposed to have their own record label, and they're supposed to have people that do this for us, and blah blah blah. I mean, I definitely tried. You know, the OneUps were like the first band to ever have like a traditional music video. That was in 2010 with the Super Mario Kart. We went to a actual go-kart place and took over the place and did a video there. And we've done some other videos at our local arcade. But I don't know. I really just kind of was trying to like push on the band and everything. But this album and these kids, and like I said, there's a lot of stuff that made me think about it. And this birthday, just like, well, maybe I'll just do my stuff, because it's never too late for now.
Right. That's right. You just crack up.
It's from 30 Rock, and I just saw that earlier today.
Okay.
It's never too late for now.
Oh, what a great show. All right.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Well, Mustin, thank you so much for all your time today. It was just awesome to chat with you, and I'm excited to put it together and share all this music out with folks who maybe aren't familiar with it yet. And I just look forward to having you back too. So
yeah,
thanks so much.
Rock and roll.